Frank, let us know when you want us to start.
So what phone is that?
This is a.
Oh, it's an S10?
So we're gonna, well, basically, you want to do kind of the same breakdown?
I think so.
Like you kind of start us off and then,
Is it a
now,
S10 Plus?
Yeah, this
Oh.
is a plus.
I'll let you wing it for now, but.
Yeah.
It's a little bit rounded over here, huh? The edges are
You
rounded.
want the mask off?
Yeah, my wife.
Here we go.
Masks off? Yeah, may as well. It's gonna be loud as hell, but.
What does that mean? Oh, okay. This means come here. That doesn't mean live. Yeah.
That's live. Start your engines.
And we're live. Welcome to Hostech day number 2. We appreciate you joining us as always. It is super early. No, it's not super early. I lied. It's 7 a.m. Pacific
That's
time.
right, 7 a.m. Pacific time. We got here at 5 a.m. just so you know to get ready for the stream.
So if the bags under our eyes are extra dark, now you know why.
That's right. So as we mentioned before, we're going to be coming to you all week long. Day 2 of 5. We're coming to you early on Tuesday and Thursday, and then we're coming back on Wednesday and Friday at 9 a.m.
Yep. So we're going live twice every day. Today, Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, and then Wednesday and Friday will be 9 a.m. and noon. So plenty of chances to talk to us, and even between the live streams, Frank's coming over here. Is it clipping again?
Okay.
Dude.
Like airplane mode. Airplane mode or shut down?
There's something else going on because we practiced for a week with our phones on, looking at our phones
All right,
the
let's
whole
see if
time.
it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Well, also we should just not. We could also just not carry them.
I'm off.
Oh, that's good.
That helped.
Nondescript shelf number 8000.
It'd be funny if the problem the whole time was Frank's cell phone, which is right next to all the equipment.
Hey, that's not your cell phone that's fucking everything up, is it, Frank? He's not listening.
Yeah, that's the, and we're live. All right. Welcome to Haas Tech Live, day number 2, 7 a.m. Pacific time. If we look tired, it's because we got here at 5 this morning.
Yeah, we got here at 5 so we can start streaming at 7, of course, but it's all worthwhile.
Yep.
As we said before, we're going to be streaming all week this week, Monday through Friday. On Tuesday and Thursday, we'll be starting at 7 a.m. bright and early, and then on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be starting at 9, and then again at noon.
So we're live twice, 9 a.m. and noon on Wednesday and Friday, and today and Thursday, 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. Now, between live streams, we're going to have a bunch of pre-recorded content. So, a bunch of cool videos. We've got a factory tour that Andrew did.
That's right, yeah. Brian did a cool tour of the hot metal facility. I can't speak right now. And then we got some cutting demos and service videos and a bunch of other cool stuff.
Yep.
Some of you may have seen like a lot of people were tuning into that yesterday, so thank you. And great stuff on there. We're coming from 2 different locations, and today we're in our second location. This is what we call the products area here in Building 2. This is where our product specialists do a bunch of testing. We test new machines.
We test tools.
Test tools for the Haas tooling site.
Everything for Haas tooling, yep. So today, we've got some really cool machines. We've got some big machines. You'll see them here in a second. Probably about to see John Nelson come in frame here.
In fact, I think I'm gonna. Oh, you maybe have one more. You want to mention the sale real quick?
Oh, good.
So we've got
Hold on.
So I have a theory now. It's not the cell phone because it's still doing it.
It's not your cell phone over there, is it?
No, mine's off.
Okay.
So I think it's because they have 4 of them going at the same time. 4 mics.
We've-
So, should we, who's the 4th guy right now? It's
Someone
Milton.
over there.
We shut Milton off.
We've done 3. That's not
We've
it.
done 3 plenty of the time,
Yeah, that's not it.
or a number of times.
I don't know what it is, but that's not it.
I don't think so.
What's
We
the number on there?
294. You don't know what that is?
That's right. I don't know what it is either.
It's that's Dodger Blue, and that's the. Have you heard of Pantone? Is in
Oh,
colors?
yeah.
There's a fan club called Pantone 294.
Sorry about that, guys. Let's do it again.
Okay.
And that's technically Dodger Blue.
Dodger Blue, Pantone 294.
That's right.
That's a little inside baseball, don't you think?
Ba-dum.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Welcome to Haas Tech Live, where John Nelson just made the greatest joke ever. Matter of fact, I can't even concentrate. I'm
It's
laughing
hard to
so
concentrate.
hard.
So we're here at 7 a.m. We got up bright and early at 5 a.m. So if we look a little bit tired, that's the reason. As we said before, we're coming to you all 5 days this week. Tuesday and Thursday, we're starting at 7 a.m. for those folks on the East Coast, giving them a show a little bit earlier. And then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be coming to you at 9 a.m. And again at noon. Both days we have 2 shows.
Yep. And in between the live broadcasts, we have a big block of pre-recorded content. Ton of cool stuff. We got a big factory tour that Andrew did. I went over to the sheet metal facility and we took a tour of that. We got a
Cutting
bunch of
demos.
cutting demos,
Service videos, some other cool stuff.
Service and maintenance videos, lots of cool stuff. So before we get started, just want to mention that we are having a promotion. So if you go on HaasCNC.com, right on the home page, it's called Unlock the Savings, and we got a little extra for you this week.
That's right, that's right. You've got an extra 5% off a huge array of machines, and all of that's good up until this Friday, the 18th. So if you're looking at getting a new machine, considering one of the many different options that we have, now is the time to do it.
Yep, this is the week to do it. So contact your salesperson, your HFO, and they'll get you a quote and we'll get you hooked up. All
Now,
right.
for today, we're over here in what we call the products area. As we said before, we're coming from 2 different locations during this event. The demo room up in the front of building 1. Today we're over here in what we call the products area. This is where all the product specialists, the guys that test our machines, test the tools for Haas tooling, this is where they do a lot of that work. So in a minute here, Brian's going to get started with John Nelson.
So we've got 2 big machines,
Should we
super
start
cool
walking this
machines.
way?
Let's start walking. The first is the GM2 5-axis, and John's going to walk us through that machine. And then when we're done there, he and I will both go around the corner to the VR8, another machine that we're really excited
Get out of your
about.
way here.
Okay, Andrew's going to exit stage right. And there's Mr. Nelson now, our senior applications engineer. So I'm going to get in position and we're going to get started. So the GM2 5-axis, it's a 2-axis spindle head machine.
Yeah, so essentially that means that both of the rotary axes are mounted on the bottom of the Z-axis, the Z-axis ram. So those rotaries are mounted up there, and then the spindle and spindle motor is actually mounted on the B-axis. So essentially the cutting tool can point at any angle relative to the machine. On this machine, the table is stationary, so workpiece is mounted stationary on the table. And then the X-axis is the gantry, so the whole thing moves in X. The Y-axis is mounted on the bridge and mounts back and forth. And then obviously the Z-axis ram comes down.
And this is a big machine. We actually have 145 inches of X travel and 87.5 inches of Y.
Yep. Table size is 144 by 72. So it's 72 wide in the Y-axis, which gives us a little more travel to bring the center of the spindle, or the center of the ram, I should say, off the edge of the table, so you get a little more clearance when you're you've got tools that are rotated up to 90 degrees. You're going to mill or drill or something on the side of a part.
Should we keep going? Okay. Okay, and we're talking about travels and rotation of the spindle. It's really important that if somebody's considering this machine, they look at the machine layout drawing.
Absolutely, because you can't just, like with a 3-axis machine, say, oh, well, the table's this big and the travels are this big, so my part will fit. You can't, because the tools are mounted in the spindle, and the spindle can change direction. So the length of the tool holder and the length of the cutting tool really need to be added in. If I have a 6, 7, 8 inch long tool set up on this thing, and I rotate a B at 90 degrees, well, I've just shortened up my Y-axis travel. And then if I need to move over on the other side and machine from that direction, so you really need to have a good idea of how long your tool holder and cutting tool setups are going to be, and then look at the machine layout drawing to figure out whether your part's going to fit or this is the right machine for your application.
Now you talked about the table. This machine, this particular machine right here, has an aluminum table, but we have a steel table option.
Yeah, a solid 1-inch thick aluminum table that bolts down, but we also have an option for a steel table that's drilled and tapped with half 13 holes on 4-inch centers, or you can get a metric version that's drilled and tapped with M12 holes on 100 millimeter centers. Basically the same thing, very close.
Metric versus inch, right.
But just the threads are going to be metric or inch.
And now one other thing we've done on this machine, just for purposes of the video and demo, is we don't have the curtain that normally comes with the machine.
Yeah, so I think we technically call it a traveling guard. I call it the chip curtain. It's 5-inch wide strips of vinyl that hang down from the front of this sheet metal and then just behind the spindle back there. And so when you're running the machine, it keeps the chips and the coolant splash contained inside of the machining envelope on the machine.
Now the other thing, while we're talking about should we stop?
Okay.
While we're talking about the enclosure and the chip guard, are these bumpers here? Can you explain how those work?
Yeah, so we used to have a light curtain that flashed a beam from here to sensors coming off of the table. But the problem with that is you could be a long way away from where this was working and you were not able to lean into the machine to look or something. And it was very cumbersome. Now we've actually got these physical bumpers. So the machines... Oh, sorry. Physical bumper. So the machine is going to run, and if this runs into something, then it'll go into a feed hold mode.
It stops motion.
Yes,
Yeah.
and another nice thing about that is that when you're controlling the machine in jog mode, these bumpers are
Disabled?
deactivated,
Okay,
disabled. Yeah.
perfect.
So only while it's in cycle are we monitoring these for sensor.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the features of the machines, because this comes standard with a 20,000 RPM HSK spindle, right?
Yes, absolutely. So the let's see. I was gonna hit cycle start on the demo as soon as we finish talking about the table.
Okay.
All right, that's where I had in my notes, and I know you don't
Okay.
have it in your copy because I decided that this morning. But I'm going to go ahead
Perfect.
and start the program here, except it's in single block mode. Okay.
So I'll make a note before I even start talking about the spindle, or you've got one already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, so 20,000 RPM, HSK F63 spindle. It's fantastic for trimming composite structures, finish work on 3D surfaces, hole making, obviously.
Yep.
It's a terrific spindle. It is not a super high horsepower spindle. It is actually 16 horsepower peak for 40% of the duty cycle and 13.4% horsepower continuous on
Okay.
this. So that's a little less than half of what you're going to see on a typical Haas VF with an inline spindle, the 30 horsepower inline.
But that's not what this is not a heavy duty cutting
Yeah,
machine.
this is not a heavy duty cutting machine at all. I did want to mention a little bit about our demo part here. This is actually, this is a mold for doing carbon fiber for the monocoque of the wind tunnel, half-scale wind tunnel model of the Formula One car.
Yep.
I'd like to give a shout out to our friends at Fiberworks in North Carolina. Thank you very much for providing this for us.
Yep.
And the material is Wren shape, which is a medium density urethane foam. It cuts really, really well. And this has actually been sprayed with a clear coat so we could clean it a little easier.
Yep.
It's normally not that shiny, but
that's been around. We've had
yeah.
that at a few shows.
Yes, this model was actually cut on the prototype version for the GM2 5-axis, which Fiberworks had in
They
their
got
shop.
the first machine. Right. Okay, some other standard features. So we've got a 30 pocket tool changer.
Did want to get back to the spindle. Sorry, I got a little
all right.
off track, but the spindles are grease pack lubrication, so
That's
the
right, that's
spindle's not
important.
going to leak or drip anything if you have materials like wood
Machine wood.
that can't get contaminated with oil.
Right.
So it's grease pack, and there's also a spindle chiller. There's it's a liquid cooled spindle.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a reservoir back up here on the bridge to make sure, and it uses the same antifreeze that you put in your car.
Okay, it's important to know. Okay, rotation of B and C are, I can see right there, B is
yeah.
plus or minus 120
Yeah,
degrees.
B axis, which is your fifth axis, is plus or minus 120
All right,
degrees.
hang on one sec.
And the C axis is actually plus or minus 245 degrees.
All right, you're on P2.
Yeah.
You watched the demo that I did?
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. The great angles. The angle from down below on this one is really cool.
Oh yeah, the one that with the GoPro?
You like to talk, John?
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. Can you hear me okay? You know, this machine's got a tilting head. It's 2-axis spindle head. Blah 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 blah. Is it me? Is this my microphone that's cutting out? Am I the problem?
What number is that? 5? Sorry, let me see that one.
Hey Sal, I just thought about this. I should give you a heads up. In the near the end, we're going to talk about safe zones. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop the machine and actually jog and show that I can't jog the tool into the table. And then I'm going to back it up a little, rotate B 90 degrees this way, and show how much farther I can go down, and show people that.
I think
But
it's possible.
you'll need to move in a
Might
little
have a-
closer to be able to see the
This thing has a
relationship
chop
between the
limiter,
tip of the cutting
so when
tool
the
and the
end goes-
table. I'll
goes
probably
to a
do it
certain point,
in
cuts
this
off
area
all
right
audio.
here, well out.
So
in front
no,
of the
but
car.
that when a demo room, that was happening in the demo
I'll
room.
just, yeah.
So what the pump limiter does, I'm not sure if it's turned on, but when I pushed this guy to +10, it boosted the signal, and it sounds
Yeah.
different than it has all day. Maybe if we set these all to +10 to boost them, it'll be better.
Yeah, each
Isn't that gonna
set of
increase
holes
the
it
amount of-
changes to
All I have to
a
do is just dial it in more here. I think that's what we
Oh,
should
that
do.
was the very end.
Let's put all the mics to +10.
Now this is going to be tool center point control, so it's not using V268.
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
You have yours on.
Yeah.
Let's this one and yours and John's, and who still has one?
There's one down here.
This one.
Okay. This is the one that that looks fairly impressive, I think, the next part here.
You know what they should do? Mike, you probably thought of it as well, but
Check, 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 check. Test, 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 test.
Sounds good. And John sounds good. John, say something, buddy.
Brian, everything okay? You hearing me all right?
Yeah.
All right.
Andrew, go ahead.
all right, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Here we are in the products area.
What number are you?
Number 1, baby. Always number 1. Number 1.
Check two, check two.
Testing in the products area with John and Brian and Orville and Frank.
let's go again.
Let's try Orville's too. He's got the fourth one on. How's plus 10 working out for you, buddy?
Fucking loud.
Brian, you're feeding me perfectly.
It should be. It's your notes.
Yeah.
Testing,
I love it.
testing.
I
You're
love
the
it.
place
I
to
don't.
be.
If you're giving me the topic,
The WC.
Yeah,
I don't even need to look at my.
I know. Then you can
thing.
just
It's
run with it.
Testing in the product area.
Yeah, you made a note for where we're going to start, right?
Yeah. So after the table is when you start the program.
Testing,
Yeah.
1, 2.
Let's do it.
Aluminum tape. Yeah. Then I'm going to start the program
top.
and talk about
All right.
the part.
Fiberworks.
Ready? Okay. That's one.
All right.
All right. So I think we were going to start at standard features, 30 plus
Okay.
1.
Yeah. Okay. So
All right, from the top, I guess.
you want to do it from the top? Okay. Hey, here's one more. Here, Andrew, real quick. If we're going to screw with the audio stuff, these guys don't all need to be here, just holding dick. So let's John and I finish up. Let's do
Yeah.
another intro. John and I will pick up where we left off.
And then the
And
transition.
then let's do the transition. And then if we need to fuck with the audio stuff, we can do that, but they don't need to be here the whole
Yeah.
time.
But we want to do you want to do 10 minutes in front of the other two machines as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
In front
Okay.
of the VR8 for sure.
But I mean also the VC400 and the VC500.
Even if the audio is going to be funky, let's just get through it. We'll deal with this later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna redo the intro, but then you and I are gonna pick up where we left
Okay.
off.
Okay.
Excuse us guys, we're gonna do our little intro right here.
Our little intro. Can you see him? Let me know. Frank, let Andrew know.
Are you streaming again, Frank? Live? All right, here we go.
And
All
we
right.
are live. Welcome to HOSTech 2020, day number 2. As always, we really appreciate you joining us. We got up extra early this morning.
That's right. We got up at 5 a.m. to be ready to start the stream at 7 a.m. just to help out those of you on the East Coast. As we said before, we're going to be doing this twice a week, today on Tuesday, and then again on Thursday we'll be starting at 7 a.m. and then broadcasting again our second session at 10 a.m. and then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we start at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and then again at noon.
And in between the live sessions, again, like Andrew said, we have 2 live sessions every day. In between those live sessions, we have a big block of pre-recorded content for you. Super cool videos. Andrew did a full factory tour. I went over to the Haas sheet metal facility.
We
and
got
did a tour of
demos,
that.
cutting demos,
Yep.
and
Tons of cool cutting
service
demos,
videos.
all kinds of stuff. So, that's enough.
That's good enough for now. So we're in 2 different areas during the whole show. We spent yesterday in the demo room. Today, of course, we're over here in the products area
Yep.
with where all the product specialists do their testing. And let's take it away with John.
All right, Andrew, we'll see you a little bit later. Okay, I'm with John Nelson, Senior Applications Engineer.
Hey, everybody.
All right, now you can go over there because we're going to pick up where in the middle. So this is going to be running while we're finishing. So you and Tyler are going to have to coordinate that between you guys. Okay, so let's talk about some of the standard features. 20,000 RPM spindle.
Yep. So 20,000 RPM spindle, it's an integral spindle, meaning that the motor is directly coupled to the spindle. The motor's running 20,000 RPM and the spindle's running 20,000
Right.
RPM. The great thing about this is that there's a really high acceleration and deceleration rates on this spindle, so it takes a really short time to get all the way up to 20,000 RPM and back down to 0. Very, very nice. This spindle is 16 horsepower peak. It's got 13.4 horsepower continuous.
So this
and
is not a heavy cutting machine.
no. This is about half of what your standard VF is going to do as far as spindle power. If you've got a 30 horsepower inline spindle on that machine, about half of that.
Okay.
The spindle is grease packed, so for lubrication, so it's sealed. It isn't going to leak any oil. So if you're running materials that can't be contaminated by oil, this is definitely
So
a
if you're
plus.
cutting
Wood, yeah, phenolic, anything that can have coolant or oil get on it to contaminate it. Also, the spindle is liquid cooled, so there's a spindle chiller up on the back, and it takes glycol as a cooling fluid, the same stuff you put in your car for antifreeze. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, tool changer, this is standard with a 30 pocket tool changer.
Yes, 30 pockets, so it's 30 plus 1, right? You can have one in the spindle. HSK F63, not to be confused with A63.
Okay.
These are different tool holders. They don't have slots in them. They're specifically made for router type machines.
Okay.
So that's the tool holder that's
Your
in
alarm's been going off
Oh, thanks.
for a long time.
That's all right.
Okay.
Probably could hear it. I
Yeah,
couldn't hear it.
I could.
I couldn't. You hear it or? Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, also with the standard features, comes standard with the whips probing. So probing cycle, probing equipment, tool setter, and spindle probe are all standard on this machine, and also the chip auger, right? So it doesn't come standard with a coolant system, coolant pumps and tank and all that.
if you
but
need
you
it.
do get the augers down here, so if you're cutting wood or whatever, you can still take advantage of the augers.
So it's a dual auger system.
Yeah, dual auger system, one on each side. You can see the chip chutes right here. And so those are the like mechanical standard features.
Right.
The control features that are standard on this machine, cab cool, so 5-axis machines, most of them have the air conditioner system on the electronics to keep them cool. It also comes with dynamic work offsets and tool center point control.
Right.
It comes with all of the standard control features for the next generation control, right? So you get Haas Connect, M130, media player, remote machine monitoring, all of those features come in this. And then there's also 5-axis features that are standard, right? Dynamic work offsets and tool center point control.
Right.
The Ethernet with Wi-Fi, remote jog handle, all standard. It's got VPS templates for calibrating the MRZP, and we'll go through a little bit more about that. There's also a VPS template to calibrate safe zones. Talk about safe zones
We'll get
in just
into
a
that.
second.
Yeah, those are important on this machine.
Yeah. It's also got feature coordinate system G268, which is essentially called custom planes or tilted planes. I'll talk a little bit about that when we get over to the VR8. And it's also, and then safe zones, which I already mentioned.
Okay, so MRZP, for those who don't know, means machine rotation 0 point.
Yes. So we have a VPS template to run a cycle where the probing system actually probes the tooling ball that's mounted
Sal,
back
can you
there
get
on
that
the machine.
way in the back, the tooling ball there?
And when it measures that ball, it does a couple of things. It finds out the location of the rotary axes within the machining envelope. There's two really key pieces of information that the control needs to know about the spindle head, right? It needs to know the concentricity or collinear of the C-axis rotation with regard to the center of spindle rotation. Now those things are manufactured separately and assembled, so there is a small amount of variation.
Yep.
But if this machine's going to be accurate at all, we got to know exactly what that variation is. We store that in machine settings, and then it's always active. We're always reading that and updating the position, the actual correct position. The other piece of information that we find out when we calibrate the MRZP is the pivot length, and that's the distance from the center of B-axis rotation to the face of the spindle. So we measure that with the probe and find out that, and then when you measure your tools using the probe system, we take your offset and add that to the pivot length to give us a total length of the rotation of the tool. And so this machine and the VR8 always know where the tip of the tool is in relation to the machine axis. Because we know where the tip of the tool is now, we can protect the tip of that tool from a bad program, from over jogging, and that's what safe zones are all about.
And I was gonna say, and we know from our prototype machines, without safe zones, even with safe zones, but especially without, this machine is really easy to crash.
It's very, very easy to crash.
I mean, you can see that there's a dramatic difference in how much travel you have with your tool oriented at 90 degrees as opposed to your tool oriented straight down.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of things, a lot of permanent things on parts of the machine that the tool could crash into.
The column?
The column, exactly. If you rotated this thing around and brought it all the way over here in Y with a long tool in there and spun C around, you'd run into the column.
Yep.
So that's where the safe zones are. Essentially, the safe zones are a set of travel limits that we define around the permanent parts of the machine, and then we activate and deactivate those travel limits based on the machine's position. So in this particular case, in this machine, there's a safe zone around the table. So we know where the table is. We're not going to run the spindle head or your cutting tool into the table,
right?
Okay. We also know where our rotary setup is. This C-axis casting, the spindle, the tip of the spindle, we know about the tool. So there's a safe zone for that. There's also a safe zone for the tool changer and the tool changer arm. So you can't run the column, run the Y-axis all the way over there with B tilted up and rotate C around and run into the tool changer. So we keep all those safe. And there's also around the X-axis gantry bridge pieces right here, safe zones for those as well. So we know where all those are.
Just to be clear, sorry to interrupt you, this will keep you from programming a travel distance that might harm the machine.
Yes.
So if you you'll get an over travel alarm.
The alarm is actually protected zone. I'm sorry, I have it written right here.
It's all right. I'll just say so you get an alarm.
It's it's protected zone detected.
Okay. So if you've got a long tool, you've got it oriented 90 degrees, and you program a travel that would run that tool into there, it won't allow you to.
It won't allow you to do that, exactly. And I'd like to give a little example of the safe zones here in just a second to show you guys how that works.
Yeah.
I'll take this opportunity to also show vector jogging. So vector jogging is a way to actually, on this tilting head machine, no matter where the tool is pointed, no matter what angle, you can go into jog mode and jog along that tool vector.
So let's say you break a drill or you break a tab, you can't jog it in the traditional XYZ axes.
Right.
So
if
that's
I'm
where
down
that comes
in drilling a deep hole and I hear this crunching noise and it's the end of my drill breaking, I hit emergency stop, I can go into vector jogging and pull that tool straight out of the hole without damaging the hole. The bottom of the hole is damaged. If I'm drilling that hole and the power goes off, this is the same thing. When the power is restored, I have the ability to jog it out of that hole along the vector.
Cool.
If you've got it tilted at a weird angle underneath an undercut or something, and you want to make sure you don't come up straight. You want to come out first, but you're not sure the axis. Just take the vector jog and back it out, and it'll come along the tool.
Nice. And you're going to show us how to do that?
Yeah. I'll actually do that right now. I'm going to wait until it tilts over to stop it. About right there. Okay, so I stopped
let's
it at
say
this angle.
the power's gone out, or you had a panic moment and went, oh crap, and you hit the emergency stop.
Exactly.
And now you're going to show us how to jog that thing out at that same axis.
Yeah. So it's very simple. The feature is called vector jogging. So I press the V key, I press the J key, and then press hand jog. It couldn't be more simple. V, J, hand jog. So I know I'm in hand jog mode when I get these yellow highlights behind the position screen. And now all I have to do is turn the jog wheel plus.
Make sure you
go
positive.
I come away along that vector, and I can go minus down in along that
So
vector.
simple as that. It's no different than jogging in X, Y, or Z, but you press V, J, and then handle jog.
Yeah, exactly.
Vector jog.
The only thing that I can't do right now is I can't jog along opposite that vector, like in the X-axis or the Y-axis, but there is a feature called planar jogging. Very, very simple, very, very similar, sorry. It's early, folks.
Yeah.
Very similar to vector jogging. I'm going to talk about that more when we get over to the VRA
Okay.
here in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
So hang in there. I'll talk about planar jogging as well. So now that I've vector jogged away from my part, I hit reset to, sorry, I leave jog mode.
Okay.
I
get
think
out
it's
of,
different on the other control. This
Okay.
is a much older version. Anyway.
So reset, you're out of it just
Yeah.
like anything.
I'm out of jog mode. So now I'm going to come over in the x-axis. I'll bring it over here in the front of the table to show you guys.
Okay.
Actually, I should do Y because Y is so much faster. So I'm going to jog over here. As a matter of fact, I'm in zero return B and G28. So I've got my tool in. I'm in jog mode.
You're back
I'm not
in-
in cycle. I'm not. There's
Okay.
nothing running. I'm going to jog this down, and you'll see that when I get within the protected zone of the table, my jogging has stopped.
It stopped you.
Okay. So
You were getting it was getting a little too close for my comfort level. You kept
Yeah.
jogging.
So I'm going to back up Z a little bit here, and then I'm going to turn the C to about 90 degrees, give or take,
Okay.
and then I'll jog the B axis up. So I only backed off a quarter of an inch or something from where it had stopped me from jogging, but now when I go back to Z jog, I can come down a lot further.
Got
And
it.
that's basically what Safe Zones does.
It's because the machine knows exactly where that tooltip is. It knows where the BNC
Yeah.
head is.
We calibrated the safe zones on that tooling ball with a VPS template,
Yep.
so we know
That's
where
cool.
everything is within. Now, there is a caveat to that. These splash guards are not protected.
Okay.
So you could run a tool into this.
Okay.
And the tool setter probe is not protected.
Okay.
So you could run into that. And the other thing about safe zones is the safe zones are tool length offset aware. In other words, it always knows how long the tool is in the spindle. I shouldn't say that. It knows the offset of the tool number. It knows the offset number of the tool that's
It
in the
doesn't
spindle.
actually know
It
the
doesn't
length of the
really
tool.
know how long that tool is.
Right.
So if you have a tool length offset in there for a tool that's shorter, and you take that tool out of the spindle,
Yep.
tool 4, let's say, and you put a new tool 4 in there, and tool 4 is longer than the other tool 4, you can jog into some stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so your offsets have to be correct before you're safe.
Okay.
But
Yeah, the machine can't see and measure your tool. It's
yeah,
only as good
exactly.
as the numbers you put in.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why it's a wise idea to set the tool length offsets as soon as you put the tools in the machine.
Great. Okay, that is cool. So, you ready to walk over to the VRA?
Yeah.
Okay,
think we
let's
got
go to
it.
the VRA. I know this is a little tricky for you guys. So, while we're doing this, I want to talk about, we're going to show a demo on the VR8, and a lot of the tools that you used on the demo are from HossTooling.com, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we're going to be doing a live session on HossTooling.com, you and I actually, on
Yeah.
Thursday. But I wanted to mention real quickly that you may have seen an email, something called the Hoss Buyers Club. And the Hoss Buyers, scroll down a little bit and you'll see a place to join the email group. You'll get an email every week. And Frank, can you bring that graphic up, even though you don't really have it right now? If you're familiar with Harbor Freight, and who isn't,
Yeah.
you're gonna like this. It's basically a coupon or two every single week with specials for the tool of the week. Wow, that broke down. That was a cluster. So I just wanted to mention that real quick while our camera guys are moving around and we're dragging cords along the ground. Huh? What? The cameras? Oh no, I'm just playing.
Didn't hear you?
Transition, I think it'll be pretty smooth.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't realize we were gonna go. I thought I was waiting for you. That's why I was confused. But Now I got it. Okay. So you guys got a little
Yeah, just for now.
cross right there.
We were actually trying to figure out where we're gonna